Live from New York, it's Tonight with Taco. Special guest, Pannacotta. And now, for your host, the one, the only, Taco!
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. The audience, the band, thank you so much. Viewers at home, thank you so much. I couldn't be more grateful for this opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, people across the globe, this is Tonight with Taco. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So look, it might have come to a surprise. Look, this is a late night show with your host, with the most, of course, myself, Taco. Now, what is this show going to be about? What is Tonight with Taco? Well, let me tell you, Tonight with Taco was an idea. It was a dream. A dream I had since I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. I would stay up late, let's just say around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I'd be going to the living room. Of course, I have the TV there. My parents would be sound asleep. They usually slept early, around 10 o'clock, usually sometimes, maybe 9:30. My sister as well, she was a little bit older. Well, she is a little bit older. And I turn on the TV, obviously. You have shit like King of the Hill on Adult Swim. And things like that just didn't interest me at the time. So I would put on, channel, for me it's like channel 2, channel 4. I'd watch Letterman. I'd watch, at the time, like Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Kimmel still had a show back then as well. And I'd really just laugh at all the jokes they would do. Even though I was very young, once again, 6, 7 years old, I have no reason to be, laughing at jokes or even understanding the jokes like that at late night. But that's when the idea came to my head. I want to be, not famous, I want to be the guy, the guy late night, has his own show, has his own cult audience, has great guests, interesting conversations, and really just having a very fun time. So that's what we're going to be all about here at Tonight with Taco. We're going to be getting multiple guests this season. We're going to be getting interesting interviews, funny moments, and really it's just going to be a great time. So thank you so much for coming out, of course. This is Tonight with Taco. Thank you so much to the Almighty Network for everything you do. And shout out to Taqueria Industries. We going up, baby. This is Tonight with Taco. Our guest will be coming out right after this. We'll be right back. My guest tonight is someone I've had the pleasure of knowing over the last 11 months or so. He's also known in the Almighty Army community as a menace, a villain, an antagonist, or pretty much any other classification of a bad guy there can be. But to me, he's quite the opposite of that. One of the funniest people I've met in recent memory. Ladies and gentlemen, and people across the globe, please welcome Pannacotta. Pan, how you doing? How's it going? How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm feeling quite well. Thanks for having me here.
No problem.
Just like psyched to be here, honestly.
Well, I'm glad to have you, of course, as my first guest on Tonight with Taco. Definitely something I never saw happen. That's a lie. I always saw this happening. My dream, my goal since I was a kid, as I said in my monologue, always to have a late night talk show. Pan, they said we would never make it. We made it on the late night talk show. Me and you, look at us here. We are here right now. So, Pan, is this your first late night talk show interview? Have you ever been interviewed one-on-one like this before?
I mean, I think so. At least I can't remember any time like in the past when I sat down with someone else being interviewed. So yeah, this is definitely, I think, my first time ever.
Well, excellent. So we're definitely going to make it very memorable here at Tonight with Taco. That's what we do. That's our spiel. That's our shtick. We're going to make it memorable. So I did want to ask you, though. You go by several names. Pannacotta. I call you Pan. I know a lot of other people call you Pan as well. So for the people who are, unfamiliar as to what you, how you got your name, of course, what does Pannacotta mean to you?
I mean, it's not as deep as you might think it is, because yeah, most people probably know Pannacotta is just an Italian dessert. But I actually got my name not from the food, but from an anime I really enjoy called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And in one of the seasons, there is a character called Pannacotta Fugo. Honestly, the character isn't even all that great because, yeah, spoiler alert, he is a traitor, more or less. Like, he gives
Oh
up on
boy.
his own team and just leaves. So that's not a good thing, probably. But his character design I really liked. The word Pannacotta also, I don't know, kind of. It's a good name, I think, just to like for a. If you want a username, Pannacotta is definitely like it sounds pretty good. So I just took this one like 1 2 years ago and just I'm just rolling with it. Right?
Of course.
I think this is like all I can really say about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I know, obviously, Pan, your early 20s in this case. I know you must have had some sort of, prior, but before watching JoJo's, before the anime and all that, you must have had like another. I'm not sure if you have like a nickname or maybe like some type of username on like if you're like doing gaming and things like that. So did you have another nickname or some type of username that you use frequently before Panacotta?
Yeah, definitely. If I remember correctly, like my username before going with Pannacotta was that sewer guy. I can't explain why because I have nothing to do with sewers, but it is what it is, I guess. And before that, even my username, and it's also actually an email I still use. It's OW Fish and Chips, and the OW stands for Overwatch. So this was like my time back in the day when I was playing Overwatch nonstop. I picked my username OW Fish and Chips. For some reason, I just like having food in as my username.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's why I picked Pannacotta back then. Like unintentionally, just my mind told me like, yeah, you gotta pick the best looking food or whatever as your username.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's definitely the way I saw it as well for my username. So a lot of people, of course, may know me as obviously they know me as Taco, but my username that I used back, let's just say 2011, 2012 was tacos and tamales. And I think it was around 2013 actually. That's when I changed it. My original like username and all stuff like Xbox things like that was Flame Shadow. So after that, obviously, I changed it. You know what? I was talking to my friends. Hey, what could my nickname be? What could my gamer tag or username be? Obviously, I am Mexican myself, so this is also part of why I guess I geared towards this. So tacos and tamales was what I settled on. And you can't really go wrong with food because you can make like a username that might look cool to you or might sound cool to you, but obviously there's always going to be people to critique it. But for food, I don't think people are going to be really silly if they're just going to critique food usernames. Anyways, yeah, so that's definitely I definitely can see why you'd want to gear towards or steer towards a food username. But yeah, I just also wanted to get into what you're doing right now. So I'm of course aware that you're in college, university right now. And Pam, what year are you in, or how long have you been in university?
Yeah, so I studying to become a teacher. Like first and foremost, you pick two subjects that you want to study, and I picked English and at first like politics, but then after 1 year, I started to dislike this subject and changed it to German. So now, since I'm 1 year behind in that German subject, I'm in my seventh semester for English and in my fifth semester in German at the moment. Honestly, just trying to finish my bachelor degree, thesis, whatever you want to call it. Haven't started yet. Still looking for a professor to take me in
Of
because
course,
they
yeah.
always just say, "Yeah, nah, this is not my area of expertise." Or I just like before going into this interview, I even got an email. One of the professors responded to my email and said, "Yes, uh, your topic ideas are interesting, but the next like the only time I can start accepting more like students for this like to take in
Sure.
is next year, the winter semester of 22 to 23. Like in, I
Oh,
can't wait for
jeez.
1 year just to finish like this first part, right? I have to continue to look around and hope I can find anyone to take me in. God damn.
Jesus, man. I mean, listen, I definitely understand where you're coming from. Not necessarily to the extent because when I had to do my personal, senior thesis this past year, I already so my school how they did it they, preset me with. So you need two readers, for example, for like the thesis of depending on the major. Obviously, my major you need at least two readers. The first one is like my personal college advisor. She was also the head of the department of what I was studying, political science. And so she, obviously took me in because she had to. And I asked one of my other professors, who I was not necessarily close with, but she was also more or less pretty cool. But I was also like a minor in sociology, so she was also like a full-time staff on sociology. But so yeah, no, I definitely get what you mean. It definitely is stressful, and obviously I can definitely imagine the stress that you're in right now. But yeah, as far as becoming a teacher and things like education-wise, how did you end up deciding on what you wanted to study or what you wanted to be in the future? In this case, being a teacher. How did you come to that decision? Was it a hard decision? And when did you make that decision?
I mean, it was kind of a weird decision, even because when I was still in school, like, yeah, I'm gonna just say high school because in Germany it's called a little different, but
Of
high school is
course.
the closest we get. Yeah, when I was in my last year of high school, I was thinking about like what I want to do after school. So we had this career advisor. So one, you had to at least once visit this woman to talk about what you want to do. She gives you ideas and like what you could be doing and all of that.
Sure.
And I was thinking, yeah, I like languages and I like talking to people or interacting more or less. So I was like, yeah, journalism, right? Journalism came to mind, uh, but then I quickly decided to not follow this career path because I heard that sometimes you have to wake up hella early to drive somewhere, and I was like, nah.
You're not that type of person. You're
So
not a morning person.
nah, definitely not. I mean, teachers still have to get up early, but not as early as journalists sometimes. And then I was like continuing to think. I went to my career advisor a second time and then asked her, like, what else can I do with language? Like, I'm good in English, like the subject English, I was pretty good. German, not so, like, my grades weren't so good there, but still good enough, I think. And she said, yeah, teacher could be a career path you could follow. And she told me that this university where I'm at right now, it's easy to get into, even if your grades are not uh, like really, really good. So I was like, yeah, that could be something I could do. And I researched a bit, and then yeah, that this just decided this is probably what I want to do. It's not like I was thinking, yeah, the teacher job is just exactly what I want to do, like 100%.
Sure.
It's just something that looks interesting to me. I don't hate children. I I like
You
interacting
know,
with them and all. So
I'd hope not. I would hope
I
not.
won't be that type of teacher, right? I still love talking to them. I had internships, like two already in schools and youth centers.
Nice.
So I know I that this job is definitely not the wrong pick for me.
No, absolutely. No, definitely. Just from the way you just explained all that, definitely seems like you're very, very consistent and very motivated to just go ahead and continue, pursuing that specific lane. And I know, listen, of course, as I mentioned, since I graduated, I've been there as well. I personally didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, or yeah, I guess that's the right phrase, or wanted to study rather in college until it might have been maybe like 6 months before graduation from high school. So obviously, at that point, it's just you kind of there's this kind of like a societal like standard of when you have to know what you're gonna do, or else it's way too late or something like that. But I don't follow that. I don't go into that specific social norm. I think it's really stupid. But yeah, you definitely do have, definitely sounds like you're very motivated with that. And listen, all that advice, definitely, I'm sure there are a lot of people in this audience who may be facing similar questions, maybe in, middle school, high school, are still thinking about what they want to do in the next few years as far as how to like approach it, how to approach what they want to do, and things like that. So definitely great advice. And I just more steering back to your personal educational experience. So me personally, I've always been kind of a stickler in school, in middle school, elementary, high school. I've only skipped, I started skipping class, like, because that's a thing, apparently. I don't know if it's a thing, like, obviously all over the world, but skipping class here, like, in my school, definitely was, like, a very common occurrence. I skipped class the very last year of high school, was not taking any risk or anything like that. I've only gotten, like, lunch detention one time in my entire educational career. But tell me, Pan, how were you when you were a student? Were you also like kind of like a stickler type? Were you, fooling around? Did you like, have some tomfoolery with your friends? How was that like in, high school? Like you mentioned high school, middle school. How was that for you?
I would say that I was more on the boring side, sadly. I at least I can't remember really actively skipping school. There were probably a few situations where I did, but definitely not on the regular. And but I know a few people that were skipping classes a lot. So this is definitely something that happens not just in the US but probably all over the world, or in Europe at least, right? um, they, I mean, how would they even stop you, right? As long as you have the minimum amount of like hours you go to school or whatever they used to count, you still pass. But yeah, definitely on the more boring side. Though as the years went on and I got into my like last 2 years of high school, I
Sure.
think I got I don't know it's if mature is the word I want to use here, but I just started to have like more arguments with my teachers, trying to stick up for myself, stand up for myself, show that I won't listen to everything they tell me because some of them definitely talking that bullshit. Um, yeah, and there was like a situation I recall. I don't remember the subject anymore, but I know the teacher, and
Sure.
she was just awful, right? She talks like for the whole semester. She talks about her her liking coffee so much. She has to drink so and so much coffee every day, like it's a
Jesus.
whole addiction. And we learn like almost nothing. And then she just gives me a D, I think, right? D minus, which means that I technically did not really pass this class. Like you are allowed to uh, you have to pass all the classes. There are only like four chances you get to fail. So you can fail four classes in 2 years. If you fail more, you fail completely. This is more my own. This is the only class I ever failed. Yeah, but I went like to her table. She was sitting
Sure.
there, and then I just said, "Yeah, how would I even like get a better grade if all you do is talk about your caffeine addiction, right?" She definitely didn't like that. Started an argument with me. All the students sitting in the front heard that. So
Jesus.
definitely an interesting situation. Uh, I still failed. Like nothing changed. Obviously, she just probably despised me after this. But luckily, I never had to see her ever again.
Yeah, listen, there's definitely obviously I've had great teachers. Obviously, I can't deny that there's been teachers that have been really great to me who have really you know it's definitely a few. It's maybe like one or two teachers who've like really gone the extra mile for me or like done something amazing. But man, they're just that my problem with a lot of like teachers is obviously I don't doubt that a lot of them do love their job, do love teaching younger kids, whether it's like high school, middle school, whatever it is, college. The thing is, I feel like some of them just kind of went that route for whatever reason. It's just like they're not like fully into it. It may not be like so motivated for it. So that that just leads to, in my opinion, just maybe the students not getting as good of a grades or learning as well as they should. Yeah, but definitely, like I said, definitely teachers are great. I definitely, support, a lot of teachers. And I know they do so much and get paid a fraction of what they really should be being paid. Over here, I'm not really sure how it is, overseas, but obviously here teachers don't really aren't given like a budget for school supplies, for markers, for notebooks, things like that. They have to pay that out of their own pocket, and it's just ridiculous how things are really. But yeah, just speaking about like the caffeine addiction and stuff that you were mentioning your teacher had. I don't know if it's a cultural thing here from all the schools I've been into and everything, public school. Every single teacher had a Diet Coke addiction. So Diet Coke would be the one thing on the desk, whether it's coffee. It was almost never coffee. It was always Diet Coke. You see the mountain of Diet Cokes in the garbage can. It was ridiculous. And I mean, I've had Diet Coke before. I know you've had Diet Coke before. Diet Coke is not all bad. But we'll get that. We'll get to that in our soda episode. Me and Pan are soda connoisseurs. Not really. Hey, don't tell that to my doctor. But listen, I do want to ask you. This is a very important question. How do you see your approach now to both teaching and teachers themselves, as you did, when you were younger, when you were like a student? Did you more or less like always kind of understand what kind of went into teaching or teachers, or do you have a more like clear and concise picture of it now, or how do you think your personal viewpoint has changed on like education or teaching or teachers themselves?
Like looking back, like I think that I almost never completely understood why teachers do the things they do. So now I have like a better understanding why certain things are taught. Like in school, I was like, yeah, why do we have to learn these topics, all of this? And still, of course, like stuff we learn in math, definitely we won't use in our real life anymore. Um, but like certain things I think are still needed. And for myself, I don't know what the future really holds, how I will be like as a teacher,
Hmm.
but like from where I am right now, I think that you just have to be like motivated. I think some teachers, like older ones, maybe over the years just lose the motivation, right? And I mean, I can't completely blame them because like if you work with kids every day for how many, whatever, like 10, 20, sometimes 30 years, you just start getting like tired of it all. But of course, thinking in a utopian way, this shouldn't happen. So we'll see. I definitely understand my past teachers better right now after like all these years studying all these subjects. But I'm gonna try to like be different. Definitely,
Sure.
this is like the only thing you can do, right? Try, because you don't know what will happen in the future. You can just hope for it all to go well and for it all to follow the your plans. Like so, it yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that as well. And I feel like also us as people, when we take the role of when we take the role that someone else occupied at one point where we experienced, for example, just to try to pull in this example here, like anyone who's like a loving parent, they want to be better parents to their kids than their specific parents were to them, right? Even though you can have the best parents in the world, you're always going to want better for your kids, and I feel like that kind of concept may apply in this case as well, like what you were mentioning. So you want to definitely be, do your best and everything. And I'm sure, like I said, you've had great teachers. I'm sure you definitely want to be an even better teacher to your students than your teachers were to you in that specific sense. So I find that definitely, definitely very admirable. It's definitely something, um, you know, I definitely, can respect, and I would want to kind of adapt to whatever I'm doing if I'm trying to fill out any type of role that any other people in my life have filled previous to me. I definitely want to do, of course, my best, do it, the best that I can, even better than the other person, even if it was great or not. But yeah, Pan, thank you so much, Pan. I do want to ask you this two questions before we wrap up. What is one thing you want to do before this year is done? We're in almost the very end of November, about to be December 1st next week. What is one thing you want to do before this year is done, and what is one thing you want to do before life is done?
Uh, for some reason, the first question is more difficult to answer than the second question because only like 1 month is left of this
Yes,
year. So, like, thinking about what I want to do, one thing, I mean, probably kind of nerdy. I mean, I of course want to find someone who can take me in for my bachelor
of
thesis,
course.
but looking outside of college, like my hobby is playing chess. So one thing I want to do until the end of this year is probably reach at least a rating of 2000. So probably don't know what this
Yeah,
exactly means,
I do
but
not.
if there those people who are listening, maybe some people know what this is. Like 2000, the rating of 2000 is considered to be like way above average. So if you are above 2000, you will probably destroy most people casually that you come across in life. But for the second question, what I want to do before I'm gone, right? This
Yes,
is, I mean, I always had the dream to be able to go to space. This is like probably something that isn't all too achievable, in my opinion at least. I didn't go the right career path to do so. So thinking realistically at least, I want to travel the world. So probably not the whole world, but I want to see before I die like at least half the countries in the world, right? So
hmm
at least once on every continent, and then just travel alone or with someone else. I don't know. That's still probably up to debate. And of course, it's also like finances and how much money I have is also a big factor.
of course.
But yeah, this if I ever have the chance to do so, I would quit my job. I don't know if it would I would quit it forever or only for a certain amount of time, but I definitely want to see like half the world at least before I die.
Listen, if that's what you want to do, then I'm there with you. I definitely want to do that as well. And if I can see a picture of Pannacotta penguin with the penguin in Antarctica, then my life will be complete. Pannacotta, thank you so much for swinging by. I appreciate you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, people across the globe, Pannacotta. Ladies and gentlemen, people across the globe, that is this week's episode of Tonight with Taco. I'd like to thank my guest, Pannacotta, so much for coming by today. Thank you so much, Pan, for being my first guest on Tonight with Taco. Be sure to go check out Pan's podcast. He's in it with Apollo the Almighty here on the Almighty Network and wherever podcasts are listened to. It is called the Further Beyond Podcast. They talk about conspiracy theories, crazy things, icebergs, all that crazy stuff. It's amazing. It's a great piece of entertainment. I definitely recommend checking that out. Once again, Pannacotta, thank you so much. And I do want to give a big, big, big shout out to every single one of you. Every single viewer, every single person in the audience, the band members. Thank you so much for making this happen. All the taco fans, hey, I appreciate you. All the taco haters, I appreciate you. And everybody in between, because hey, listen, this is episode 1. Who knows? You might be hooked on it by episode 2, or hell, you could be hooked by season 32. Regardless, thank you so much for coming out and watching. I do really appreciate it. And one last thing, I did want to leave you with one little message. I'm going to do this every week. Of course, I'm going to give one message of the week to all my viewers, the audience, everybody tuning in. And this is the message of the week for season 1, episode 1 of Tonight with Taco. You know that thing that you've been holding off on doing just because you're a little scared or nervous to do? Forget about all that. Go ahead and do it. Our time on this earth is limited, but the opportunities are endless if you put your mind to it. If it doesn't work out the first time, go ahead and try a second time. If it doesn't the second, go a third. If it doesn't at all, keep it moving. There are brighter days ahead. Thank you so much. You can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/shotguns and tamales. I'm also on another podcast on here on the Almighty Network, Here and Now with Jez and Apollo the Almighty. Have a great week. This has been Tonight with Taco. Signing off. Music.
Back